welcome back, everyone, for another episode of Talk 122 with your superintendent, Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. Seems kind of weird saying that, especially when we have you here. Dr. Julie Morris, Harlem School District Superintendent for how many years?
15.
15.
Just shy of 15.
Just shy of 15? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could have stayed for 15 and then, because this year has definitely been a challenging year, but we're happy to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
To be able to hear your perspective on life after the superintendency.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So if you would be so kind to start with, why did you get into, or what made you, get into wanting to even be a superintendent?
Gosh, that is a long time ago. As a teacher, I knew I loved education. I was a high school teacher. I was actually from the very start more in a leadership role because I was a vocational teacher and we ran a preschool program, and so I considered myself the director and my students were the teachers. So from the very start, I really kind of gravitated toward that leadership side of education. And I loved teaching, I loved my students, I loved my building work, and I did know eventually I wanted to be a superintendent. I don't know if that's weird or, but I knew eventually that I wanted to do that. And so not until I was probably, once I was an assistant principal, I knew that eventually I wanted to keep going to school, I wanted to get my doctorate, and I wanted to have the opportunity someday to be a superintendent if that worked out.
Okay, that's good. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so what would you say was the difference, because as we, I've followed a similar path,
mm-hmm.
But the difference between your influence on the district as a teacher,
mm-hmm.
as a principal or an administrator, and then a superintendent, what was the difference with that? What would you say?
Well, the further you move into leadership roles, the less contact you have, of course, with students.
Okay. Yeah.
And as a teacher, you have that direct contact, that direct responsibility with the students. And everyone in the organization, no matter what your role is responsible for the students. Mm-hmm. And that's always been my mindset. So as I moved into administrative roles at the building level, I did my work with being an assistant principal,
okay.
working with student behavior, discipline, and it's just a different perspective. It's just my role was different, but it was still always around the students and what they needed. And then as I moved to the district level as an assistant superintendent in curriculum, it was still about the students. Okay. And always keeping that in mind, I think, is the key. Because frequently, the further away we get from the students and the teachers, the more we think that, the more we make decisions that may or may not be best for them. And so it's really always focusing on what our students need. Okay. They need to be at the center of all of our decisions. Mm-hmm. So that was, and it's just a shift in how you do that. Now I'm working for an organization that supports school districts, and it's still about what's best for students. It needs to be. That's how I see my role, but I do it differently.
Gotcha. And great segue, because,
mm-hmm.
and thank you for that, because this segment is life after the superintendency.
Yes.
So we're building up to, and I'm getting even more excited about this, because for about, I think, 11 years there, you were my supervisor.
Yeah.
So now I get to
mm-hmm.
ask you questions and turn it around a little bit.
Yeah.
So so now you're not a superintendent
nope.
anymore.
Sure not.
So let's just talk about that a little bit. You said you can kind of mention what you're doing mm-hmm. now and things like that. So
mm-hmm.
kind of unpack the layers a little bit and tell us more about that.
Yes. Well, when I was thinking about life after the superintendency, when I was still mm-hmm. in position, I knew I needed to do something, because I really couldn't go from a position where it's all consuming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's always there, to doing nothing. Okay. So to speak. I'm not a person who has a ton of hobbies, because my hobby has really been my career and my family, my kids. And so I knew I needed to do, and I wanted to do something. And so I actually, my last year in my position, took on a a course to become a certified executive coach.
Okay.
Because working with administrators, the majority of my career has been as an administrator. So I know that working with administrators, working with leaders, whether they're administrators, whether they're teacher leaders, that's really where I wanted to focus my time after the superintendency, to give back, so to speak, to the profession. And so then I did that, and then I wasn't sure what I was going to do actually until like right at the end of May, I think, is when it all fell into place. And I'm working for an organization that in the West Cook County region, supporting a region of school districts. So we have 39 school districts who we support.
Okay.
And I do a lot of different things where it's around professional learning or executive coaching, which is a new thing in education. So I'm actually working with the crew to build a program, because people in business, they hear about that all the time. And in education, when I say that, they're like, what does that mean? You know, so that's what I'm doing, and I'm working full-time, but it's a different full-time than you're working full-time.
Okay.
And I really love the job. Now, it was tough going from being in this type of position. Not tough. It was a different challenge. And I had to figure it out, and I'm still figuring out, and it's been almost a year. And so it was kind of one of those positions that there wasn't an actual job description. Okay. It was, we're building our department, we're adding more people, and so you figure out what you're going to do,
okay.
So to speak.
All right.
Yeah, so it's been fun.
So, thank you. So now let's have a little fun here.
Yes.
You said the word fun. So, when you think about your time in Harlem,
mm-hmm.
right? We won't even mention Honeyneager, or I just did, but we won't even talk about Honeyneager. But so when you mention your time in Harlem, and because a lot of people miss you, and you
mm-hmm.
did a lot of good work here, and like you mentioned before, just shy of 15 years, but we'll
mm-hmm.
say 15 years.
Yeah.
So when you think of your time here, you think of the many people that you have,
mm-hmm.
Come in contact with, mentored, all those things. Who do you miss the most? You can only pick one person.
Of course, it's you, Terrell, Dr. Yarbrough. No. And in all seriousness, that's what I miss about the job, is the people.
Yes.
I don't miss the hard work, or I don't mind doing hard work. Mm-hmm. It's not that I don't miss hard work. I don't miss some of the duties. It's a tough role to do. Mm-hmm. And so, but I miss the people. I miss the laughing. I miss the silliness. I miss just being around with the people I know. One of the tough things getting used to in my new world after I left was the different routines, going into a new workplace mm-hmm. where I didn't know what the routines were. There weren't necessarily routines because the department was new, so it's really here I was like, I miss that. I know what I know what the systems are. I know what the routines are, and I just miss the people.
Okay, all right.
But
well, you're more than welcome to come to any school board meetings you want to come to, and just I'll even switch places with you a couple times.
I'll pass on that.
I'm sure we can figure out a way to make it work.
No,
that's cool. And so, when you think of like your legacy,
mm-hmm.
right, and things that you're most proud of as far as the work that you did here, what comes to mind?
Well, I think about that because I reflect on my time here,
mm-hmm.
and I reflect on my 34 years as an educator I want to look back and see what legacy I did leave and feel proud about it and not focus on what I could have, would have, should have done. Mm-hmm. And I think my legacy really here is the people and how I worked with them to set up systems and set up a climate and a culture where the people felt like they were part of it mm-hmm. and that they had responsibility in it, as well as the people felt like they belonged. I hope that's the legacy I left. And And that comes with all of the work we did, whether it was our equity work, our racial equity work, and all of our equity work, which I think is part of that legacy, but even a bigger part of that is establishing a climate where people felt like and feel like that they have a say.
Okay.
And that they are important to the organization.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, I can definitely bear witness to, yes, that's your legacy, and you definitely left a lasting impression on a lot of us here. And so saying that, what advice would you give, because you've had a huge influence obviously on me, and me wanting, to even get to this point, and others as well. So what advice would you give someone who's an aspiring superintendent or, very new superintendent? What advice would you give them coming into a role like this?
I think that one of the pieces of advice that I would give would be to be who you are, because as I grew up as a professional person in education, frequently I was told I was too quiet, or I was not I was not enough of this or too much of that or whatever. And I continued to do the job the way that I felt that remained true to myself. So I need to remain true to myself, and it can be tough sometimes because of all the politics, all of just everything that goes into being a superintendent. But always remaining true to yourself, and being able to look in the mirror at the end of the day, no matter what decision you had to make, and always keeping students at the center of your thought, your process, your systems, and then who can argue with you, really, in the end? If you're keeping students at the center, it comes back to that. That's what it always comes back to. So that would be my advice. Be who you are, remain true to yourself, and always keep students at the forefront and in the center.
Yeah, perfect. So just test you a little bit, or dig a little bit deeper with that question, because I recently read an article where it talked about, specifically this year, a lot of superintendents leaving, the profession, but it also mentioned women superintendents, and in districts not hiring women as superintendents. What advice would you give women who want to be a superintendent and want to be in this role, and may have had the door shut, on them from time to time, and that not happening? What advice would you give, a woman who wants to do this? Because Yeah,
I think I would give very similar advice, and also as being a female in the profession where it is still predominantly white male, I would say continue to do it your way. I mean, I was termed the socially emotional superintendent. I didn't know that. A couple of the superintendents, she's that socially emotional superintendent. And for me, again, with the students, their social emotional well-being is at the base of everything we do before we can teach them math, reading, or anything else. And so I always push that. I always pushed our equity work. I always pushed that in every conversation I had with any superintendent in our region. And so, and I think it was a kind of a loving term that they used for me, but at the same time, that's what I was pinned. And I think part of it is, well, that's the female, let her be who she is. But in the end, I guess I felt like I just rambled there for a minute. But I still need to be who I am. And as a woman, yes, doors are going to be closed. As a black male, doors are going to be closed, but other doors are going to be open. And if a door closes on me, I probably wouldn't have been in that. It wouldn't have been the place for me anyway. And so you just have to keep working and fighting and being who you are.
Okay, perfect. All right, so last question that's not as deep. So when you think about the district and you think about all the schools, which one is your favorite?
Oh, man, I don't have a favorite.
I mean, we got someone for Parkinson over there.
I was going to say, Erin is sitting over here. Mrs. Anderson is sitting over here. They're all just unique in of themselves.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, I was a high school person, so of course I always gravitate. I mean, I walk into a high school and I hope it's passing period because I like to be in a high school when it's passing period, just walk through the halls and listen to whatever the students are talking about.
Interesting conversations, too.
Yeah, oh yeah. Sometimes it's like, la, 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 and like, really listen to what they're saying. But then in Parker Center, that's a whole nother, you know, and I learned early literacy. I learned about all of that when I became the assistant superintendent because I was not an elementary person. And so, and then the middle school, of course, there's the middle school student. So I can't really pick a favorite. Depends on the day.
Right. I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't pick Parker Center only because I subbed there earlier in the year, and I thought I did a good job and thought I made a connection. But when I came back recently, one of the kids recognized me, but I think she went to her teacher to make sure that I wouldn't stay. So I was like, oh man, I thought
come on,
like don't, you're not leaving, are you? But tough anyway, crowd, that was tough. I thought, but I still enjoyed being there. So I get it. So final words. Is there anything you want to share with anyone that may see this within the district? That work closely with you, students, families, obviously staff, and you've got the camera right there.
I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity that I had here working with you, whether you were a student, a parent, a teacher, a non-certified staff member, an administrator. I've loved every minute of it. We made some tough decisions over the years. We did some great work, and you still are doing great work because I'm keeping an eye on all of you and making sure that you're still doing the work that you're here to do for your students and our students. Because I still refer to Harlem as, when I talk about Harlem, I talk about my district, even in my new position. And so this is a place that's in my heart and in my soul, and I miss all of you. But I know that you're all doing great work, so I am also very much enjoying my life after the superintendency. So thank you.
All right, that was awesome. I almost shed a tear too. I mean, really. So here's the fun part ending in all of these. Now, I don't know how many people knew, but your husband coached my son.
Yes.
In basketball.
He sure did.
He's now a senior in college, so that's been quite
crazy?
some time. But we have the ESPN Basket here that everyone takes an attempt to see if they can make it. So here you go.
So
Let's
what do I do? Because I'm not the athlete in my family.
Let's see if you can make this shot.
I just do this?
Yep, just pull it back.
Okay, ready?
Yep, let's see.
Set.
Almost. You want to try again?
Do I get another shot?
You're competitive. Oh, yeah, you can keep going.
Okay.
Let's see.
Erin, you may not have to talk. Yeah. Oh, so close.
Hey, that's good.
Thank
well, it was
you.
a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
Obviously, you're welcome here anytime. I'm surprised.
that.
I'm surprised we took your keys.
Yeah.
You can do that, but it was an honor having you on.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
All right. So, and the last guest, obviously was Dr. Julie Morris, and she talked about life after the superintendency. And so we're going to transition a little bit, and kind of talking about end of the year, activities, and in particular Parker Center. And let's first, if you don't mind, introduce yourself to the audience and who may not know you. But if you want to do that, let's start there.
I am Erin Anderson. I am the principal at Parker Center, and so I am just finishing up my second year as the principal there.
Okay. Only 2 years? I
Only
thought it was
2
longer
years.
than that.
Nope, I've only been at Parker Center for 2 years.
Wow, seeing you in action, I would not have thought it was only 2 years. So that's good. So can you describe to us then, obviously we're at that point where, and you were just kind of talking about, off camera about how hot it is and having to cancel recess and things like that because it's so hot. But what are some of the activities that are coming up, that you are excited about, your staff is excited about, and the kids are excited about?
So one of the fun things that we do is we do a Z to A countdown for the last 26 days of school, just to kind of celebrate all of the things that we've done this year and to work on their letters, because that's something that we teach them at the beginning of the year. So we just do some fun days. Today was music day, so we had music in the cafeteria, and they would just take random breaks throughout the day to kind of get up and dance. We've had kindness day, we have color dress up days, so just some kind of fun things just to make the end of the year exciting for the kiddos. We also have our fun fair coming up next week, so we are really excited to bring that back, because last year we weren't able to do our fun fair, and so we have a lot of community partners are coming. So the YMCA is coming, Discovery Center, the library, they all come and they bring tables, and we have games. We have touch-a-truck, so we have buses, we have ambulances, we have tractors, we have semi-trailers.
No dunk tanks.
Not at this event. That's a different event, Dr. Yarbrough.
All right.
So the kids can come and they can explore the trucks, and it's just a really fun family night to kind of celebrate the end of kindergarten, because besides our preschoolers, all of our kids move on. So a lot of our kids we only get for 1 year. So we're excited to bring back kind of our big end-of-year culminating event for the families. They'll have hot dogs. We were going to make them ourselves. And then we had
the hot dogs
we were going to grill the hot dogs.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
And then we had our literacy event a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not kidding you, the lines were wrapped around the building for like an hour. So we have decided that we will not be able to grill that many hot dogs. We have a hot dog truck coming, and they will make the hot dogs for the families, because our families haven't been able to come into the buildings because of the pandemic. And so now that we're getting back to when they can come in and they can be a part of the school, actually in it, we have a great turnout. So we're excited about that. That'll be a really fun family night. And funny you mentioned dunk tank, because we also have our end of year celebration for just the kids that we do. We're doing it the Thursday before the last day of school, and it's dunk a PE teacher. So the kids will get to dunk a PE teacher. There'll be obstacle courses and treats for the kids to kind of celebrate their end of kindergarten.
Wow! If you want to dunk a director, I got someone in mind for you. So.
Do they know about that? Notice it's dunk a PE teacher. It is not dunk your principal.
That is smart. That is smart.
And we have two, so they take turns. We make sure that it's on a day we have both of them, so they can take turns in the dunk tank, and the kids they love it.
Absolutely.
You would be surprised the aim. And so as a PE teacher, they have to be proud of the kids when they hit the target, because they're working on their aim, they're working on their strength. Like they're hitting so many of those PE standards when they get to dunk them.
And I love how, it's obviously it's a lot of activities that you have planned. So there's a lot
going on in a couple of weeks.
which is good, but also too, you have families involved, you have staff involved, and obviously the kids are involved, and so you have a little bit for everyone, and so that's awesome. And when you think about all these activities, though, like which one stands out to you? Like that's the one that I really like.
Well, I only been there 2 years.
Right.
Last year, the only one that I was able to be a part of was our end of year celebration for the kids with our dunking the PE teacher. Which is a super fun event, and the kids have a great time. But I think I am most looking forward to our fun fair. Just an opportunity to get our families back in the school again, to say, their goodbyes, because some of our families have been with us for a long time. If they have older kids and they've been through our preschool program, and this might be their last baby coming through Parker Center. And so it can be a really emotional night for the families too, and I'm just glad they get to come back. And then the connection with the community partners is huge, because there's so many great resources out there that families might not know about, and the different programs that all of these places offer throughout the summer. So I'm just excited that we're able to put this event on so families can learn about those things, get involved with those things, and just have a fun free night with their kids.
Gotcha. Perfect. So obviously, we're getting to that point now, right? In the second year, these activities that are going on, things of that nature. What would you like to say, to your kids? And long year, a lot of things that happen during the year, and it's a great way to end it, with all these fun activities. But is there anything you would like to say to the kids and to the staff, as we were winding down?
Just that I am really proud of the growth that everyone has made. When I think about August kindergartners and I think about May kindergartners, the growth that those kids make in the course of a year is just amazing. And that's what that's what makes me love working at Parker Center. They're just so very different from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, and the staff that helps nurture them from where they're at in August to where they're at now, and just the independence that they've gained. So I'm incredibly proud of all of them, and I know that they are all going to be great no matter where they're going next year.
That was perfect. Good. Well, I can't let you out of here without one tough but kind of fun question. But also, too, the ESPN shot, right?
I'm dreading the ESPN
You've been eyeing
shot.
this, though. You've been eyeing it, so I think you got this.
My son's a big basketball player in the middle school, so
All
he's
right.
going to be so disappointed when Mom bombs
Wow.
this deal.
So I did not know your son was a basketball player here. Okay.
Yes.
So, favorite team, though? What's his favorite team?
His favorite team is the Golden State Warriors.
Okay. Yes, I would have picked Lakers, but that's fine. That's fine.
He is a Warriors fan.
All right, so you work a lot with the elementary group, real close to each and every one of them. Who's your favorite one?
Oh, I can't answer that. They'll like
The one that you just love the most, love to work with the most. Not saying that the rest of them you don't like to spend time with them, but just it's okay to say it.
I truly don't even know that I could pick, because they have been I don't know how I could have done the last 2 years, honestly, without that group. Whether it's there as just like emotional support on those days that are tough, or yesterday when we're all trying to figure out what was that temperature where we can't go outside anymore because it's too hot.
Right.
They are just a great group. The one that I probably ask the most questions to, only because he was my principal for a little bit when I was the PD specialist, is Brock.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I worked for him for a couple of years, so I probably know him a little bit better than some of the other principals, because the other ones aren't here. But I mean, I can go to any of them with any question.
Right.
And it's a great group.
I feel like Steve Harvey right now. It's like, great answer, great
It's a great group.
No, that's cool. All right, so the time has come. You've been eyeing it. Make your son proud. No pressure.
Oh.
Ooh, we got to try that one again.
It's like when he makes me shoot hoops in the back or in the driveway. It's the same setup. I'm not even close.
Let's see. Oh, that was close, though.
Almost.
Well,
I'm going to end it there because I at least touched the rim.
You at least touched the rim. Well, thank you for coming on and talking through that.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. And so, like always, we really appreciate you tuning in. Obviously, this is a way for us to communicate with you all about updates on, how our favorite people are doing that are no longer in the district. Our former superintendent, who will always be superintendent in our hearts, right? And so, and then too, with Mrs. Anderson being here and, talking about Parker Center and the great, activities that we have to end the school year. So, as always, I am Harlem, you are Harlem, we are Harlem. Thank you for tuning in.